You were mentioning Isaiah Hartenstein, and I really feel like he's been an unsung hero for us.
Yeah,
so good.
Because
It's so good.
in the absence of Mitch, we expected the defense to drop off, the interior rim presence to drop off, and Isaiah Hartenstein has been an elite rim protector since Mitch has been out. He's been an elite rebounder, and I think offensively, it flows better when he's in the game because he can roll just as well as Mitch, and he also offers some passing in the low post as well. So I think he's been an unsung hero in this Knicks offense and our defense being so good. And people aren't talking about this, but once we get Mitch back healthy, the Knicks are once again going to have one of the best benches in basketball with Josh Hart, with Hartenstein. That is two of the better players off the bench in the NBA. And I'm kind of tired of Jalen Brunson getting disrespected. I know that Becky Hammond came out with a comment that said, he's too small to be the number one option on a championship team. I don't disagree with that take, and I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's the right take. But for some reason, there are still people that talk about Jalen Brunson like he is not in the tier of Donovan Mitchell, or he is not somebody that can lead you to playoff wins when he's shown that he can. I mean, Stephen A. Smith was clamoring for Donovan Mitchell for us to go get him because he wasn't satisfied with Brunson. Brunson just eliminated Mitchell in the playoffs. He just outplayed him in the playoffs. And I just don't know why Brunson is not getting his proper due, his respect as one of the stars in the league. He might not be the best player on the championship team, but that does not mean he's still not an all-NBA caliber player. And when I spoke about Randle translating to the playoffs, I think that this year his game is going to translate to the playoffs because in previous years, he's caught the ball very far from the basket. He settled for mid-range fadeaway jump shots, a common critique everybody had about his game. But this year, he's driving to the basket much more. He's catching the ball deeper into the post. He's just playing a more efficient brand of basketball that I think will translate to the postseason. And I think if he translates to the postseason, the Knicks got a chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm with you. Yeah, that Heat team's honestly feels like a sleeping giant of sorts because we're all talking about Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, of course. But that oh my God. I feel like, I don't know if it's because of the lack of regular season success they've had, at least last season, but this Heat team, they're gonna be right in that conversation again. But quickly though, to talk about the Raptors, because we talk about the Knicks, the Raptors haven't been winning as much, but the trade they made for RJ and IQ has been sensational. Individually they're playing great. They haven't, of course, not going on 5-6 game win streaks.
They got cheated on one game.
Huh?
The Raptors got cheated on one game.
Did you watch the tape or are you just chatting?
I think you saw.
Oh, is this the Lakers game?
For sure.
Oh, yeah,
the Lakers.
Did you
game.
watch it or you just chatting?
I was say what game?
25 free throws to 1 is crazy.
Again, how many intentional fouls were there?
There were 8.
Okay, so
It
there's
was
16 free throws.
That's still
I
a
thought it
lot
was
to
5
1.
intentional.
What?
Regardless,
I watched it back.
Me and Drew were talking about
Yeah.
it yesterday, and I think what I told him yesterday was I think Raptors fans are more upset that they only got 2 free throws as opposed to the Lakers getting
Yes,
that.
that's
many.
what it's
And
about.
you watch it back, there were 2 instances where there should have been whistles for the Raptors and they didn't get it.
Well, that's the problem.
Scotty
And but you're
Scotty
saying,
did get fouled a few times.
Scotty-
but the 20 you mentioned the 20-something free throws again.
that was a good ass game.
Too good.
Yeah.
Too good because down the stretch the Raptors
should-
just
you
would
guys-
not
you
go
guys are
away.
both
The
in.
moving
Shot after
moving
shot after
screen late
shot.
in the game should have not been called.
That was
not a
but
foul.
it was not a legal screen.
Anthony Davis flopped.
But RJ didn't have his feet set.
It wasn't really moving screen. It was ticky tacky. For them to call it in that situation was
It was
nuts.
a little ticky tacky.
I don't know. I was fine with the call. Obviously, I want to see us win, but at the same time, watching it back, trying to be unbiased in the situation, RJ wasn't set. And
But,
yes, you could say Anthony Davis flopped because he does have a history of flopping, but he got his ass set.
He clearly flopped.
I think the most encouraging thing though is RJ shooting splits.
Facts.
He's averaging 22, but he's shooting damn near 60% from the field, 54% from 3, rounding up here a bit, and 77% from the line.
How long is that going to last?
Listen, 60% from the field, 54% from 3, it's not going to last. It's just he's not going to turn to the best shooter of all
Saw
time.
RJ
and put up
shoot
Steph
40 for a
Curry type
season.
numbers better than
come
Steph
on.
Curry.
We saw him shoot 40 for a season.
But no,
that was a lot of corny shots.
we just want him to be
40 is 40.
We want him to be around like that 37%. If he could settle around that 37%, that's what you're looking for. And then IQ is giving you 19 points, really good efficiency as well, 46% from 3. But 6 assists to 1 turnover. That's what stands out to me. He's doing a really good job playmaking, really good job protecting the ball, and that's what we really wanted to see with this trade is IQ getting a chance to quote unquote lead his own team, right? Be the point guard on the team. Of course, still got Scotty there. Dennis Schroeder is going to get minutes at point guard too, but I love what both these guys have been doing for Toronto. Of course, the pressure's off for RJ. He's even said that like going to his favorite team growing up is a dream for him. Had a nice moment there with LeBron right after the game where they kind of hugged, talked for a little bit. I'm sure he gave him some words of wisdom too. But I think for both sides, we said it. When the trade happened, this is a win-win, and so far through 5-6 games, it's been a win-win.
Here's the thing. I'm not gonna go to Joel route because I'm sure Joel's gonna,
What am I gonna say?
I don't know, but I will say I think we all, to a degree, understood that if IQ went to his own team and he was not his own team, but if he went to another team, get that starting position, he'll put up some solid numbers. He'll be a good playmaker, and I think the fit next to Scotty has been pretty easy for him. It's been seamless defensively. He's been solid as a playmaker. He's been making the right decisions. He's been good, not turning over the ball too much. The thing with RJ is the problem with what RJ has shown us in his career is that he can do this. He can have maybe not the same splits, but he can have a streak of where he puts up 30, 20, 25, 20, 20, double, and then he goes on this insane slump. And I think, like Dehls, you mentioned it, the three-point shooting is what's been moving because it's like he's been able to hit at a consistent rate. Yeah, he's been able to hit at a consistent rate, but the problem is, how long is it going to last? Historically in his career, he has been a good three-point shooter. But if he can hover around the 36, 37 range, be a respectable three-point shooter, play manageable defense, be a good slasher, then RJ can be a really good role player. It's just about, for RJ, if he can be consistent at it, how long? Because like I mentioned, he's done this before. This is not nothing new. We haven't seen him not do this in the NBA. We've seen him shoot 40% from the three-point line. We've seen him have 10-game, 12-game stretches. It's just about now, how long is this going to last and how long can he continue this stretch?
And it's also something about the shadow that's not lurking in the background for RJ anymore. I feel like you mentioned this when we first talked about the trade. The pressure of being the number 3 overall pick in the biggest market in the United States, the New York media is going to crucify you if you're not living up to that number 3 overall pick, especially when the two guys that went before you were Zion Williamson and Moran. RJ Barrett, whether he lived up to people's expectations or not, which obviously he did not because now he's no longer on the New York Knicks. Now you're over there in Toronto. There's so much less pressure on you. Now you're back home also. There's a little bit more comfortability with RJ Barrett in his situation right now. So, of course, it's great to see him playing great basketball at this current point in time. Joel's right, of course. It's not going to be sustainable. He's being a little bit bitter while also joking at the same time. But he has shown that he can shoot 40%. I think it's more realistic to get in that 37, 38%, finish the season off strong in that regard, just to show you've made improvements to your game, because the biggest thing, like you just said, is consistency. He's failed to show us that from so far in his career. But Emmanuel quickly and what he's been able to do, I mean, this is really what was exciting for me with the Raptors in this deal. You get that young guard, put him next to a Scotty Barnes who's having himself an all-star caliber season, and you knew once his minutes would increase that the production would follow. He's been awesome from 3. I think at this point, 6 attempts, 46, almost 47% from 3 in his time with Toronto so far. He's been pretty great, but it's just a matter of building something for the future with the Toronto Raptors. The uncertainty of what's going to happen with Pascal Siakam in that situation at the trade deadline. You saw OG piece that fall first, but now we understand that Pascal, with what's going to happen, who knows whether he's going to stay, whether he's going to get an extension, or whether he's going to get traded at the deadline. I feel like Toronto's story is still in the making, but with the Knicks, I feel like their payouts being shown earlier than the Raptors, because we don't know what the finished product is yet for the Toronto Raptors.
I think the Raptors payout is being shown because they're a fun team to watch now.
Fair.
I go on YouTube TV and I look at League Pass teams and I look at who I want to watch, and I find myself watching more Raptors games now.
It's because of RJ.
It's because of IQ
You miss
and
him.
RJ. It's
Do
both.
you feel
it's
like
both of them.
that's like the X, maybe that just
Yeah,
through your
both of
fingers?
them being there is the reason why
RJ
I'm
hurt
watching
you?
them. RJ doesn't hurt me. I mean, I have
up and
nothing.
down.
Not that it hurts you. I'm saying he hurt you.
No, I have nothing against RJ. I mean, his second year into the league, halfway into it, I kind of knew, okay, I have to temper my expectations with him a lot. And I really don't agree with the media being such a difference. I know that New York and Toronto are different, but I feel like a lot of Knicks fans exercise patience with RJ. Anybody that thought RJ was not going to be great was the one getting crucified. People didn't start getting on RJ's back until this year when he went on his slump.
You think so?
Yes, I
The
think
year
that
they made the playoffs and he was terrible, I feel like people gave him shit for it. The same like Julius Randle.
they gave him shit for it, but he wasn't the major guy to be blamed for it.
It was Randle.
So all the heat went to Randle. I feel like Knicks fans only exercised patience with RJ. They were still holding out hope. With the Raptors, he's playing better. I don't think the splits are going to continue, but he's still somebody that could average 20 points per game in the right system. I think that their payout is being shown now because they're a much better offense. They're an exciting offense. With IQ, RJ, Scotty, Pascal, and Jakob Poeltl, they have 121 offensive rating. They have an EFG of 62%. So they've been efficient. They're getting out in transition much more. And a lot of Raptors fans, when they watch the games before RJ and IQ, in the half court, they weren't able to do anything. It was an offense that was very bland and boring. Now, because you added another creator in IQ, and you have RJ who can, drive to the basket, now it's opened up their half-court offense as well. So I just think they're a much better product to watch. The Pascal domino, we're not sure where it's going to fall yet. He could very well still end up in Toronto after all said is done. But this team is a good team. I think they have some cornerstones to build around. It's Scotty, it's RJ, it's IQ. Who knows where RJ fits in all that. But as of right now, he's a new player on the Raptors. So Raptors fans will exercise even more patience for him for at least a year or two, and then they'll come to a conclusion on him. But for the most part, I don't think he's shown them anything to not be excited about. And he's from Canada, so that just boosts, his brand there.